Hello again there, friends and fans. Raptor here, and for the first time on the channel for the year of 2022, we take our first look at Falling Frontier's newest trailer, Close Combat. You may have seen this before on the channel, and it is a breathtaking RTS, of course, taking place in our solar system, with gorgeous ships, space stations, and the ability to customize their crew with a very customized and beautiful looking single player campaign. A few hints of missions and the ability to look at all the different moons and all the different planets in our solar system. It just looks absolutely breathtaking, and I've loved what the developer has done for the trailers and the ability to see what's going to go on in the game, both an economic like RTS where different factions are battling for control of space, but also the ability to refine things, which we continuously see in a lot of these trailers, these large refineries sending out mining vessels and refinery ships in order to bring back that sweet ore and of course make some money. But where there's money, there's trouble, and of course in Falling Frontier, this is definitely going to be the case. Now, I love the atmosphere in this game, and in one of the last trailers, many of you have said that a lot of what we see here is possible in space, things like massive dust clouds and lightning storms. It is space on another level that I've just not yet seen in any other RTS. And I must say that a lot of the ships and the combat in this game looks as if it's massive whales or undersea creatures moving around. Of course, there's fast-moving attack ships, but for the most part, a lot of these cruisers and destroyers and these ships that seem like they would have massive guns seem to move at a much slower speed, and that feel of mass is really felt by looking at the station versus the planet versus the frigates and versus all the smaller transport ships. It almost looks like looking at a colony of bugs, and it's really just quite the sight, and it's hard to create that type of atmosphere, but I'm just digging it, and I'm really hoping that we see more space games with very highly anticipated titles like Homeworld coming along soon, and also, of course, Nebula's Fleet Command, which is also out as well. Lots of different story elements, games that excel with their story, and other games that excel with the customization of building your own fleets. And this one is no exception, of course, to be able to add your own guns and upgrade and research things and really toy around with customizing your fleet. And of course, getting a nice detailed look at all the planets. Everything looks as if it were, I don't know, just a little bit more futuristic, but a clunky future. Not everything is perfect. Everything's not connected with high-speed internet or whatnot, but there's a lot of beautiful combat and contact with all the point defense systems and things raging on. It seems to mix between maybe a little bit of alien technology from the movie series Alien and also some more modern stuff. And the developer's take on this just looks amazing. Other games coming out like Starfield and other ones that I love like Star Citizen, being able to just go around in massive ships and just see them from the inside really gives you a scale of how they look on the outside as well in comparison to the inside. But the ability to go around our own solar system and go to all the different moons and planets and to be able to mine from them and to have a story with all sorts of different nebulas and such is a really good backdrop for a game like this. Really good set dressing that makes it seem beautiful. Now, I don't think this is going to be the type of game where we get to zoom in and go to planet surfaces, and I think this is really ambitious for a more indie developer like this, but this is why we need to see games like this succeed. Otherwise, everything's just going to be Ubisoft and also EA all the time, and that's just something that I simply don't want to see. We need more innovation, and this game hopefully delivers upon that, with more and more developers being inspired by all these other games from the past over the last 10 years or so, and taking all those elements of games that they love into a game such as this, Falling Frontier. It's going to be just amazing to play this game for the first time. I'm very excited, and oftentimes I do jump on the hype train, and oftentimes some games, of course, are a little bit of a letdown or different than what you think, expectation versus reality. Another game that I would say I'm very hyped for that you've seen on the channel before is Manor Lords, and these are two developers, just for example, that I think are really handcrafting something that they're more passionate about as gamers than they are about making money or about making a product. They seem to just want to make something from a gamer's perspective for other gamers, and if they happen to succeed, well, then that's just a bonus. But a lot of just what I've seen here is just impressive. Recently stumbling upon a lot more trailers that I didn't even know existed on the developer's YouTube channel, and I'll be sure to link that down below, and if I forget, please just look down below in the comments section too, because some of these trailers that I'd been seeing I couldn't find anywhere else until I stumbled upon their actual YouTube channel and am putting some of this footage in here as well. Now, in just a few minutes, we're going to take our first look at a trailer that I've not seen myself for Close Combat, giving a much more in-depth look at not only just the planets as we're a little bit closer to the surface, but also the ships and how they react when they're hit by missiles or lasers or point defense systems. And this does seem to be the type of game that's a little bit more, and I'm going to use this term loosely, realistic. And by that I mean it seems like they're more naval ships than they are space ships. They fire guided missiles at each other. They use point defense, which is basically machine guns or miniguns firing at incoming missiles and whatnot, and cannons to try to pierce each other's hulls. When you have an object that's fired in space like that, nothing can stop it, and well, except for a hull, of course, and that's definitely something you don't want to hit. But yeah, there's a little bit of fantasy here, a little bit of realism, and it's just a nice mix of something that I want to see in more games. It's been a fantastic couple of years for space games, with games like, for example, No Man's Sky getting more improvements over time, and I just want to continue to see space games thrive and expand, and they are really ambitious. So to see something like this, I'm just delighted, and I'm really happy to bring to you some of the Close Combat footage here today. I'm going to show a little bit of that, and then I want to talk about what really impresses me here. Great sounds in this game as well from the previous trailer on, I believe it's called The Forge. You may have seen that before on the channel, and if not, jump back and make sure you're subscribed and hit the like button, especially for this game. Not for me, but just do it for indie devs like this one, where when you see a trailer pop up, damn, it is gorgeous. The sounds really hit different, and that deep thud, as if it were like a depth charge under the ocean surface, is impressive. Here's a little bit of the crew customization that I was mentioning earlier, with the ability to assign captains and navigators and other crew members that can, well, make or break the battle and or improve upon your combat, like for example with the TFV Pinnacle there, the ship at the bottom of the screen. Gorgeous combat, really just awesome levels of detail without being too complicated, and I'm hoping that this is a game that many people can learn and that many people can master, and that gets many people into other games such as Homeworld, or even the Deserts of Karak series, or Homeworld 3, which will be coming out soon as well. But hey, there's many great RTS space games out there from the past, and I can only hope that there's going to be more for the future, including simulators, and also, of course, maybe other games for combat, like FPS games taking place in space. But combat is not the only way to make money, and I want to see more games on an economic approach and the ability to research and explore, and not just have everything blow up all the time, although it is beautiful. There's nothing more beautiful than an explosion in space like this. Alright, I know I've kept you for long enough, folks, so without further ado, what more can I say about a game like Falling Frontier? I think it'll speak for itself here in just a moment, and then we'll talk all about the Close Combat trailer, which we're taking a look for. Oh my god, whoa, hold on. I'm seeing this for the first time too. Yes, other places of the station being taken out, other maybe point defense systems or turrets that are defending that station. Wow. Alright, here we go. Just as I suspected, some really deep sound effects that just hit different. Feels like you're in a theater, and I feel like this could almost be a movie in terms of its sound design, and that's really impressive to me. Much more to a game than just graphics and also I don't know, the flashiness and the animations, but really creating an environment that is believable. And I think that's one of the things that I've continued to praise in this game and want to see more of. The ability to make it look much more believable in terms of how business is done, rather than just looking pretty for it being a game with many of the things in the background, moons and the sun and the beautiful shadows and whatnot coming off the sun. But those are minor things, which I believe are a very big thing in terms of a developer being confident in their design. If they're putting in all that detail like that, they must be very confident about their design on other things, such as the ship designer, where again you can see shadows in the background, all this paneling and whatnot. Graphics are one thing, but detail and animations are another. And to be able to see this type of animation in an editor like that is quite impressive. Again, during the previous trailer of The Forge, I really praised the ability to customize our ships, and instead of just having a unit that you bring in that you know is a light, fast unit, or a scout unit, or a fast attacker, you can kind of make a lighter unit a little heavier and become a glass cannon. And that's going to mix up some strategies too for when we see possibly multiplayer, not certain on that, and possibly maybe another campaign outside of the Titan campaign, going to other moons and whatnot. Be quite interesting to see if we can go to other planets, Jupiter and Saturn, maybe the sun, and some other special missions and whatnot to harvest materials. I'd like to see that, actually. And I'm really impressed with the ability to add so much soul to a game that typically could just be empty, really, with just stars in the background and a simple skybox, if you will. But again, great detail in this, and I'm really excited to see the full release of Falling Frontier sometime soon. And I really want to be able to possibly have a co-op campaign with friends. Now, if we're going to talk about wishes and hopes for a game like this, I'd really like to be able to see the ability to play with and against friends, and to be able to possibly expand an empire peacefully. And I would really like to see something like that. Similar to the Anno series, where instead of inhabiting islands, we inhabit planets and kind of bide our time in order to muscle the other ones out of the area in order to maximize profits or whatnot. Of course, beautiful nebulas designed here, which make all the worlds and all the planets seem so distant. And I have, again, as I say during these trailers, I have more questions than answers as to what's possible, what the limits will be, what the release will be like, what the Day 1 and Day 2 and Day 3 patches will be the first couple weeks, and then, as they say, the quality of life over time. What other things does the developer have planned on the roadmap, and what roadmap goals will be hit? Maybe there'll be some complications, maybe there'll be some other things added, who knows? But what's already been delivered here so far from E3 up until today is really impressive, and I want to continue following a game such as Falling Frontier. I really think that this is going to be the type of game where if they do well with the radio comms that I really enjoy in that combat, where it again feels like Ace Combat or some other type of maybe more intimate space battle game, really when you get the radio chatter and when it feels like it is just you're listening to actual radio traffic from perhaps an ATC, that's when I get excited, when things actually feel as if they would be done in real life. Not trying to simulate real life, but how they may actually be done. And again, that's kind of a simulation, but really trying to hit more close to home with a sense of possible realism, not just fantasy realism. Where, of course, anything's possible in the future, who knows? But I definitely am going to keep an eye on this game in the future, and the nebulas are just breathtaking. Another newly released trailer here that we're taking a look at, just released before the Close Combat trailer, which you just saw moments ago. So Falling Frontier, definitely a game that I want to see develop even more. I want to see more from the campaign. I certainly don't want to be spoiled on things, but I hope there's a whole myriad of voice acting. I hope there's a cavalcade of explosions and many different weapons to use. I want to play as many different factions, because this is a game that's got potential, and I want to see it surpass that. It's hard not to have high expectations, and of course it's hard not to want to push a developer like this, because you see something here that you normally don't see. Not often that we see an RTS like this, where it is taking place on the orbits of planets and between planets, other than like a 4X type game. And I believe the developer, or at least the publisher, which I think is one and the same, is working on other space games as well. Like, I think it's Terra Invicta or Terra Invictus. don't quote me, but definitely got some skills outside of this game, and it doesn't seem like just a one-trick pony, even though it is being developed by Hooded Horse and Stutter Fox Studios, both together working in development and publishing there. So Falling Frontier, ladies and gentlemen, going critical for sure. Let's take a look at one last trailer. This is just before the Close Combat trailer and the Falling Frontier Nebula trailer. You may have seen this, but again, I think it's just really awesome to be able to reiterate the combat in this game, kind of taking place more slowly, feeling more like the Age of Sail than the Age of Star Travel or slip speed travel. Really impressive. Great explosions, of course. I think some things are a little bit more, as again I praise for the realism, I think some things need to be Hollywood in order to give visual feedback to players, like explosions with fire, and of course smoke is possible, and particles and things breaking off and whatnot. But making the ships look as if they were naval ships, as they often do in Star Wars or sometimes in Star Trek, is a good thing in order to understand what's happening in the game versus also balancing what would be realistic. So it's a real fine balance, and I think the developer is adding enough of everything without going too far into one area to make it too boring or to make it too cinematic and just kind of a, I don't know, a destruction simulator, which of course is great, but it's just beautiful to be able to actually give the order to blow up something like a frigate or transporter or refinery ship and see it absolutely implode. And some of those explosions look as if they would be in the future sometime. Well, that's it for today, folks. Thank you for watching. Falling Frontier, hopefully coming soon. Thanks again for being here. You guys are amazing. Raptor out. Take care.